10 wrestlers that are banned by WWE. Before we begin this video, I would like to ask you to like the video if you enjoy it and subscribe to support our channel. We truly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload new videos to our channel. Thank you and enjoy the video. WWE is the biggest and most successful wrestling company worldwide. Sure, there are competitors showing up here and there, but even during the bad times of WWE, they are still the major force in this entertainment industry. That is why being part of WWE can mean fame, fortune, and respect wherever you go. But, being banned by WWE, that's a whole other story, and one that can even hurt your wrestling career. So, how do wrestlers get banned from the biggest wrestling company in the world? What could have they done that was so bad that WWE decided to ban them? Here are 10 wrestlers that are banned by WWE. Number 10. Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was an important figure and wrestler during the Attitude Era, because he had a legit mixed martial arts background, and so could take the company and the matches to a new edge of violence and entertainment, making it look even more realistic. He rose and became very successful in the company with great matches against other great superstars like The Rock and Owen Hart. Everything looked promising. When he left WWE, Shamrock made brief appearances for TNA, and work independents here and there, demanding bigger booking fees than a star of his stature really justified. Shamrock then went back to MMA for a time, and was pretty successful for his age. Shamrock has spoken about WWE in interviews in recent years, and a couple of things come up from these interviews, which make us understand why he is banned by WWE. 1. He has a high of an opinion of himself, which is good, but it's not proportional to his age and current abilities. He believes that even today, when he's 58 years old, he can take on Brock Lesnar. 2. He has badmouthed Triple H, and that is a big no-no when H has so much power in WWE. He indicated that Triple H was jealous of Shamrock and that Hunter holds a grudge in not wanting to book him now. So, no Shamrock for you, come back 1 year. Number 9. Jeff Jarrett. That's J-E-F-F-J-A-R-R-E-T-T. Now, that's brilliant. Jarrett is not part of WWE for years now, yet his name gets stuck in your head for all eternity. Jarrett was a decent wrestler, gave good shows, great storylines, and all in all matched WWE like a glove. However, his final defection may have come back to bite him. On his way out the door with WWE, he purportedly held up Vince McMahon for money. This was discussed on a previous video we've published, titled 7 WWE Stories You Have to Hear to Believe. The story goes that Jarrett's contract with WWE had already expired and he was already on his way back to WCW for a main event run. However, he was still the reigning Intercontinental Champion in WWE, locked in a feud with China, and so, he reportedly demanded a huge amount of money in order to lose the title to China in his final WWE match. Vince McMahon was furious, calling him out by name to say he wouldn't hire him ever again when WWE bought WCW. Upsetting Vince is not something you want to do, and Jarrett did it. I think it's time someone send flowers, at least. Number 8. Colt Cabana. Colt Cabana was actually in WWE in case you've missed it. He was working under the ECW brand as Scotty Goldman. However, he failed to make an impact, was quickly forgettable and then released. Cabana returned to make his things where he loved the most, the indies, and even ran highly regarded wrestling podcasts. WWE could have brought him back as they were fond of looking for talent in indies, but he was associated with CM Punk, who wasn't a likable figure with WWE. In addition to being close friends with Punk, Cabana offered up his podcast, The Art of Wrestling, as a platform for Punk to say anything he wanted about WWE, their creative practices, medical procedures, and more. The matter is still subject to litigation and has likely put Cabana on WWE's ban list for good. Number 7. Mr. Kennedy. Some believe that Mr. Kennedy is on his way to become the next major superstar for WWE. He had won the Money in the Bank and held the briefcase, was part of major angles like Mr. McMahon's assassination and the reveal of McMahon's estranged son, and an anti-authority run-opposite William Regal originally built around him. However, things started to fall down like domino dice. Bad timing, real-world events, and especially injuries conspired against Kennedy brought him to a situation where he got stuck in the mid-card and was ultimately released. Kennedy moved on to TNA, but WWE was still on his mind, bad-mouthing WWE's management and Randy Orton, claiming they did nothing to re-ingratiate him to the company. In the end, Kennedy is remembered in WWE as less than a superstar and more of a failed experiment. Number 6. Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio didn't end things well with WWE, and it occurred more than once. First, he was released after hitting a backstage employee who had allegedly used a racist epithet. To the amazement of many WWE fans, Del Rio was back to WWE the following year. I guess everyone deserves a second chance, right? Well, Del Rio's second run with WWE was a huge disappointment, as booking was bad and looked all over the place and he himself looked lazy in the ring. He simply got to be worse and worse as time passed, and so he was released for the second time. After his second departure, Del Rio talked a lot, and those things of course were against WWE and particularly Triple H, whom he refers to as the one with the big nose on social media and in shoot interviews. Del Rio won't be back to WWE, and third time is not a charm. Rumor has it that Triple H didn't want to give him a second chance with WWE anyway, and after the second run went the way it did, he's better off finding his way in other places. Number 5. New Jack. New Jack is probably the biggest star of ECW, but he never got a chance with WWE, and there's a good reason for it. You see, New Jack is notorious for having legitimately threatened other wrestlers, with rumors circling that he even purposefully hurt them. And then there's the mass transit incident, when he was working an untrained wrestler, cut him, and beat him mercilessly until he legitimately had to go to the hospital for life-threatening injuries. New Jack is simply unstable, unprofessional, too volatile of a personality to ever step in a WWE ring, and maybe even a menace to society. Number 4. Nails. If you don't remember Nails, that's okay, I forgive you. He was a memorable, but short-lived character during the early 1990s and had a feud with the Big Boss Man. The Boss Man's gimmick was that of a prison guard, so Nails played his counterpoint as an ex-convict that comes to terrorize him after feeling that the Boss Man had terrorized him when he was behind bars. After this feud, Nails was set to run a new feud against The Undertaker. However, this new feud never really took off, as Nails ran into some intense backstage issues. It seems that he confronted Vince McMahon over what he perceived as broken promises regarding the money he'd be making, as well as his position within the company. The argument escalated as Nails yelled at McMahon and even strangled him. Police were called to the scene, and in the aftermath, Nails tried to claim McMahon had sexually assaulted him. It's one thing to get the boss upset, but it's another thing to lay your hand on him. Number 3. Hulk Hogan. There's no need to introduce Hulk Hogan, right? Even casual wrestling fans and even no fans at all know who Hulk Hogan is. He's probably the biggest icon in professional wrestling, and probably like any other wrestler, had his ups and downs with WWE. After being the most popular wrestler in WWE during the 1980s, Hogan defected to WCW in the mid-1990s, and after WWE had welcomed him back in the early 2000s, he eventually teamed up with TNA in what was a purported attempt to compete with WWE. In 2014, Hogan was back again to WWE as a legendary figure and ambassador, only to get caught repeatedly using racial epithets. WWE then decided to cut ties with him, release him from his contract, and mostly scrubbing him from their website. Number 2. Konnan. Konnan has suggested that he has a perfectly fine relationship with WWE, just hasn't worked for them since his brief appearance during the 1990s. Yeah, right. Rumors on the other hand claim that there remains legitimate heat between the two. The source of these tensions is mostly Konnan's brief tenure working as Max Moon, a gimmick WWE reportedly put a lot of resources into, only for Konnan to back out after only a few short months because he thought his business prospects were better back in Mexico. According to rumors, WWE wants nothing to do with Konnan, and feels so adamantly that they've declined working with other luchadors who are now affiliated with him, just to continue freezing Konnan out. Way to go, Konnan. Look what you've done to talented Mexican wrestlers. Shame on you. Number 1. CM Punk. I haven't seen WWE's ban list, if there is such a list, but if does exist, I'm pretty positive that CM Punk is up there at number 1. Punk left WWE after he had fulfilled all of his contract obligations, but it had happened abruptly before WWE had planned for him to leave. He then spoke out against company's management, its medical personnel, and its creative direction in a blistering podcast interview with Colt Cabana, as stated earlier in this video. If we'll ever see Punk again in WWE, it may be for a Hall of Fame induction, but I doubt he'll be back as a wrestler on the company's ring. And, even if Vince finds a way to forgive Punk, there's convincing Triple H too, as he was personally offended when Punk cited having to wrestle him in a non-main event match at WrestleMania as one of the final straws that made him walk out. So, having to convince both Vince and Triple H, not to mention Punk's willingness to return to WWE, I wouldn't hold my breath. Seriously, don't hold your breath, it's dangerous. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our video, please like it, comment below, and subscribe to support our channel, we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload new videos to our channel. Have an amazing day.